Alrighty, hello class. For the sake of time, let us begin. Like I said many times, I try to keep these videos short, clear, concise, and to the point. I will say with this homework video, we will be addressing the exact standard you see down there. Identify the factors of production and why they are necessary for the production of goods and services. Now you'll notice that standard was also on last night's video, even though we didn't address it at all, because what we addressed on last night's video, what is economics, scarcity, wants versus needs, directly lead into the four factors of production. So speaking of the four factors of production, we only have one LEQ for this video. What are the four factors of production? Let's find out. Okay, so the four factors of production are very simple. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship used to produce goods and services. So the four factors of production are the combination of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship that is used to produce goods and services. So land by itself, labor by itself, capital by itself, entrepreneurship by itself is not considered a factor of production unless it is used to produce goods and services. Let's break these down one at a time. So land is fairly simple. It is natural resources that are present without human intervention. So we're thinking things here like gifts of nature. Surface water, land, like the actual land that we walk on, fish, animals, forests, mineral deposits, things that are present without human intervention. So before humans ever started manipulating the Earth's crust, before we ever started walking on this planet, things that are present without our intervention. Natural resources, if you will, gifts of nature. Very simple. Let's move on. Labor, again, is a very simple one. Labor is human effort directed towards producing goods and services. So in economics, a good is defined as a tangible object that can satisfy people's wants and needs. So tangible means that you're able to touch it, you're able to feel it. It's something you can pick up and hold, or you can touch with your hands. For example, I'm holding my water bottle right now. This is a tangible good. Services, to contrast, are actions that can satisfy people's wants and needs. For example, you can't hold a haircut. A haircut is not tangible, yet getting a haircut is considered a service. It's not considered a good. Now, examples of laborers are obviously factory workers, teachers, hairstylists, so on and so forth. Now, one thing that I may try to trick you guys up on in a quiz you have coming up is that for labor to count as a factor of production, they must work for a wage. So they have to actually get paid for their labor for it to be a factor of production. So please keep that in mind. Now, capital. Here's the one that students tend to have the most difficulty with. Land and labor is very simple. Capital, it takes a little bit longer to wrap your minds around. So here is the economics definition of capital. It is previously manufactured goods used to make other goods and services. And in Mr. Jarrett's way of simplifying things, capital is stuff made to make new stuff. For example, machines, buildings, and tools are capital because they can be used to make other consumer goods. The perfect example of capital, think about the assembly line in Detroit making Ford motor vehicles. So you think about all the laborers there, the land, like the steel that they use to make vehicles out of. The capital is the conveyor belt itself, the huge machines and equipment, the computers, the robots. Those are all examples of things that were previously made in order to help produce something else. So let's take a look at our favorite class example, the pencil. I highly doubt a single human being assembled that pencil from start to finish. Chances are there was a machine that whittled the wood down to give it the shape that we know and love in our standard number 2 pencils. So capital is previously manufactured goods used to make other goods and services. Stuff to make new stuff. A pair of clippers or a razor blade for a barber, even though the barber is the laborer, the razor blade and clippers is considered capital for the barber. Okay, the reason we have capital goods is that they're used to increase productivity. Now, productivity is the amount of output, that's a fancy way of saying the amount of stuff you can make that results from a given level of input. The input being the factors of production. So if I were to input land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, which we're about to cover, the output is the goods and services. So people use capital to increase productivity. Because in reality, a single person from scratch could make a pencil. They could acquire all of the land on their own. They could whittle down the tree into a standard pencil. They could somehow make the lead graphite that actually writes. They could somehow construct an eraser, but that's a very inefficient process. To be more productive, we need capital. So what is entrepreneurship? I want you guys to say that word to yourself wherever you are right now. I promise you, say it out loud. No one around you will think you are weird. Even if you're on the bus right now, just say it out loud. Say it proud. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is it's an idea. It's the ability of risk-taking individuals to develop new products and start new businesses in order to make profits. Any business owner is an entrepreneur. Someone who works for a business owner is not an entrepreneur. They are a laborer. Even a manager is considered a laborer because the manager, unless the manager is the person who created that business, they are not an entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is the original person who started the business, someone who took a risk, a financial risk. They risked their livelihood, they risked their house, they risked their money, they risked the sake of their families. Whatever it is, they took a risk to start a business. Common examples: Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Andrew Carnegie, who was in the oil and steel industry back in the 1920s. Hopefully you guys remember that. And George Jenkins. George Jenkins is the founder of Publix. So to summarize, the 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. All 4 of them must be present to produce goods and services. Excuse me, all 3 of these, land, labor, and capital, are all subject to scarcity. Now, let's have some fun. Tomorrow in class, I'm going to offer you all extra credit. Here's how this is going to work. I do this occasionally, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, sometimes 3 times in 1 week, as an incentive, as a reward for those of you who take the time out of your valuable days to watch my homework videos. I really do appreciate your time, and I want to reward you in a way other than you doing well on quizzes. So tomorrow in class, here's what's going to happen. You know by now, I start every single class period. I ring the bell twice, just like that. And then I go up and I put one hand behind my back. I raise my right hand. I say, I need all eyes on me. So tomorrow I'm going to do that. Tomorrow, as soon as I do that, as soon as I ring the bell in the morning, right before class starts, right before bell work, and I say, I need all eyes on me, if you watch this video, you are going to stand up at your desk, simply stand up, and you are going to start rubbing your belly and patting your head. And I'm going to reward you extra credit for doing so. In fact, it'll be extra credit added onto your participation grade, so it will help your grade out quite a bit. For this to work, guys, please don't go around and tell your friends who didn't watch the video. Again, this is not a punishment for those who didn't watch the videos. That's why it's extra credit. This is simply a reward for those of you who took the time to watch the videos. So thank you for watching this video. I will see you all in class tomorrow.